right, so how long are you in Milwaukee for right now on this very day?
On this day, I'm going to be there, going to be here until January 6th. That's when I'm flying back to Seattle.
Okay, so you've been here for
A couple days, like 4 days. I really packed this.
Oh, wait, this is my last podcast with Shad. All right, we're good.
Yeah. So I'll be here till January 6th. And then, I really kind of packed this first week here because it's the only weekend that I had available to like do stuff.
Okay.
So I played, so I got in on Wednesday, and then I played Linneman's opening for a band called Lunatic from Chicago. They're cool.
Okay.
Kind of like a jam band, really good musicianship. At Linneman's on Friday, which went well. And then I played Washroom with like Scam Likely, the Glamps.
Shuby was on that.
Shuby was really cool.
Yeah.
Friendly Spectre.
Yep, from Madison.
Yeah, he was cool. And Shuby had this like, I don't know. I mean, like, I think just like a lot of it was they used that delay on the guys' vocals. I can't remember their names, but it really
Parker.
It's like punk psychedelic. It was cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've seen Shuby many times. We've done a few shows with them. They're sick.
Yeah.
They're so sick.
And the Washroom is
Isn't that a cool venue?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they trashed that house.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
I love it.
I wonder how did they paint the walls white first before they just like unleashed people out on the walls? Because you've seen it, right? Where it's like
like people riding on the walls.
People they just leave out like markers for people to write on the walls.
I don't know if they were painted. That's a good question. I'll have to ask them. I like how there's that separate room down there where you can like socialize, not outside. But
have
then
the merch
also when it is like summertime, there's they usually have like art vendors in the garage out back. So it's
nice.
Like, in between sets, people pop up.
I mean, it hasn't even been a venue for that long because Scam Likely hasn't been a band for that long. I mean, like 7 months maybe or something.
Spring was actually I played their first show there in April, I believe it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same place?
Yeah, same place before they called it the Washroom.
Did there used to be a wall? And because like I was playing on the stage and there used to be and it looked like there used to be a wall there. And I was like, did these fucking kids knock down a wall?
They've knocked down the fucking wall. The show that we played there was the wall there.
Landlord at all?
Apparently, the landlord doesn't live in the state and barely even
and security deposit, that's a 1 month, you know. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I doubt that they would even check. They're
making more money just from having that. You know?
We played that first show and that wall was still there. So we were squeezed in there, and there was so many
Was it moshing
people.
too? I mean, do people mosh at your shows?
Yeah, it depends on the show, but yes, in that show, there was just not enough room for people to mosh, so it was more just head banging in unison. Yeah. But
no, they knocked down that wall, and it adds a lot more space for people to just watch, especially because there's a
railing.
Well, like a 2x4 that keeps the moshing area separate from the people that just want to chill. Area. But that show went. I mean, like Lunatic on Friday was awesome at Linneman's.
How'd you get that bill? Did you reach out to Linneman's or did you put it together?
So I kind of like I knew I was gonna come home for Christmas, but I didn't know really what the plan was, and then waited a little bit too long to start looking for like venue. I was hoping to build a bill like at a venue like Cactus Club or Linneman's for me. But it was all kind of like I only had this last weekend, like the 16th, 17th to like play shows because the rest is like Christmas and
New Year's after that.
Yeah, my birthday is New Year's Eve, so I got stuff going on there. And then my brother's birthday is on the 5th. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't want to try to book any shows past that. But everything was booked. So I just started reaching out to people I know, like Scam Likely. And I was like, you got anything that I can jump in on? And they were like, yeah, sure. Which was nice of them. And then I just looked at the date that I really wanted was Friday the 16th. And so I looked at Linneman's calendar and I saw Lunatics. And I was like, well, I'm just going to reach out to the band and be like, look, this is what I do. And I know the venue and I have people in the area that would come out. So
yeah.
And they were just like, yeah, that sounds good to us, because they didn't really have a plan.
Was it
I should do that more often.
2-band bill kind of thing?
Yeah. It was just me and them, and they were like a jam band, so they had me open for half an hour, and then I probably went over, and then they had like 2 sets of just kind of like jamming out. It was good.
Chilling. Yeah, if you have that leverage of like, I'm from Milwaukee and a bunch of people will come to see.
I honestly should, like, having done that now once, and I told you earlier before we started that, like, I spent like 2016 to 2020 not booking shows because I was working on Need Disease, the album, and then Trustworthy, the animation.
Yep.
And then when I released that all in late 2020, it was pandemic, so it was like no booking shows then.
Yeah.
And before that, I was just a younger musician, so I hadn't really like built bills for me to like headline or anything like that. And now I'm sort of like trying my hardest to like figure out better and better ways to sort of navigate the just like booking, which I feel I've always felt kind of like awkward about that aspect of it. Just I don't know, I just always have, because like I play by myself, so it's like I'm representing myself through like email and through social media and stuff. And it just feels like I can't even be like, oh, we're this band and we want to play. It's like, it's me.
Yeah.
So I feel a little bit like self-conscious, trying to get over it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there could be like this pre-notion that like, it's just depending on like the energy of the night, you know, just being a solo act, and there could be like solo acts with, I don't know. It really just depends on the crowd that's coming out to see you.
Yeah, of course.
And who will
it's
stick
all
around.
me. It's all my stupid head that's like making myself crazy, but in a good way.
Yeah. No, yeah. So when you book shows, is it mostly through Instagram then?
No. What have I been doing? I mean, honestly, like since I got out to Seattle, so I moved to Seattle like 6 months ago. Before that, I was like I said, I was just starting to sort of figure out how to like, just like mostly email, find a venue that you like, find out who books, email them, and like it even took like I remember I was just talking to you about Kaylee Conway, really good artist from Milwaukee, and I remember showing her an email that I had sent to like, maybe it was like a review site when my album came out. I was like, I just asked her advice in terms of like, how do you go about getting like PR for a project or something like that? And she took a look at mine and she was like, oh yeah, you just have too many like calls to action. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that kind of stuff at all.
So we're like, check out my this,
well, yeah, like a link for
this.
check out. Yeah, I mean like a link for everything. But she was like, reduce it down to one. Just give them one thing to look at, and I've actually learned, because I've been doing. I started doing the visual art when I started doing animation, and then nowadays, for most of the shows that I play, I make the poster too. And I've been trying to figure out like how to do this right. And I've actually just realized that posters and just like promotion works better when it's focused on a singular subject. So when I'm making posters now, I just try to, I'm working on this poster or set of posters for a show that I have in Seattle now on January 20th. At the Royal Room. If you're in Seattle, right? I don't know. I'm probably mostly Milwaukee and Chicago people that listen to this, right?
Yeah, I would say so. But if you post like a
they'll see
about
it. They'll see it. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
my buddies in Seattle.
Oh yeah.
But instead of, because what I used to do is try to like make a sketch of each of the artists playing that night and fit it all on one poster, and I just realized it works a lot better if I just do the same amount of sketches, but only feature one of them on multiple posters for the same show. So I'm making one for me, making one for a guy that I like a lot in Seattle named Colin, and then I think there's a girl named Kelsey. So I'm doing a separate illustration for each of them and giving them each their own poster to promote.
That's cool. That's a cool idea.
Right. Because then like just having one person on there in the center is cleaner. And then I can just do the same amount of sketching, but just like focus it. Just like reduce the number of things people have to think about when they're interacting with your like poster or whatever.
Yeah, there's some flyers out there that I'm like, what am I reading?
I know, and they do look cool, but
that's what I was gonna say. Like some posters will look really cool with the art, but the information like you can't even read. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, it's
kind of tragic almost that like you have to be pragmatic, because then like for certain things, like album art, maybe you have a lot of leeway in terms of like making it really cool looking, but with like a poster, people do kind of want to know when it starts. Yeah.
Literally, and you don't want people like texting you like, wait, what? When is this?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's on the flyer.
Mm-hmm.
But that's interesting with the amount of subjects, I guess, on the flyer itself. And I think if you have like, if it's a band too, and you have a picture of each band on the flyer, it can get pretty diluted pretty quick.
I know, which is a shame because you do want to feature everyone. But and this is what why I've been thinking about it so much, is just like, yeah, I'm just gonna make a separate poster for each of the artists, and that way they each have like the extra incentive of being like, look at this flyer.
Right. My buddy Wyatt Moran, who is I met him because he was sliding through on tour over summer, and he's doing another tour in January here. He schedules it all by himself through Instagram and all the booking and stuff. Wow. Through emails, and he makes a flyer for every single show that he's doing on tour, but like pre-makes it to like the same flyer, but just switches out the names, the text, and then just sends it out. And
that's smart too.
Like, yeah. Instead of worrying about getting together a flyer for each show, just use the same one. Just change the names.
That's my next step, is trying to figure out how to actually like set up a tour.
Yeah.
I'm like comfortable now setting up a show, but like I said, I mean, just like I feel like I took so much time off while I was working on those projects that now I'm like re-entering and trying to figure out how to be a working musician. And it is going well. I mean, like, but yeah, there's so much to learn.
Are you full-time music yet?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, okay. So I moved out to Seattle.
Yes.
And I live, if you know Seattle, you know Pike Place Market, which is this very famous market. It's like one of the most visited tourist attractions in the world. Like in the summer, like 500,000 people will walk through this
market that looks like the public market from Milwaukee, but it's not.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I would say the public market in Milwaukee looks like that one.
Okay, yeah,
because that one's been there for like 100 years.
Right,
and it's super famous.
That's what I figured.
And like I said, like 500,000 people walk through my intersection on First and Pike every single day. And so I live at a hostel called the Green Tortoise in Seattle. It's a really kind of a wild lifestyle. I work 18 hours a week at the hostel doing like housekeeping stuff or cooking stuff or cleaning, whatever. And then they give me room and board and meals. So I went out there with like a couple $1,000, and I just haven't had a job for the last 6 months living in downtown Seattle because I have no bills. It's crazy.
Wow. So you've been able to fully live off the 18 hours a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
wow.
I know it's been crazy. I actually recently got a job at a sock shop. They sell all these thousands of novelty socks right across the street. But yeah, basically I have not had I don't know. It is a real job, the hostel, but it feels like, because I have no income, not exactly a real job. And also 18 hours a week is nothing at all almost. Yeah. But I make some money off of music just from playing shows, selling merch, and then I have like a Patreon page that's not doing so bad. I mean, like,
yeah, you've always had a Patreon page.
Yeah, for the last couple of years.
Yeah,
and it's nice. You should get one too.
I know. That's the one thing I feel like subconsciously like kind of insecure about, is like asking people to. I got to figure out like what kind of things I should put on there that people are willing to pay for.
Can I describe the project I've been working on?
Yeah.
Although I had to take a hiatus because I can't record things at the hostel. But I have this album.
The video of you like playing in the bathroom. That's where you have to practice. That's crazy.
I know, it's funny because I have a room. I share a room with 7 other people right now, and then there's no privacy at all except the bathrooms. So I stick a towel underneath the door to practice. It is kind of crazy. I kind of take it for granted because I've been doing it for the last 6 months now. And so I just like, it's like, oh yeah, that's just how I do it. But yeah, I practice in the bathrooms. And there's good acoustics in there. But, but so for Patreon, what I started doing is I made this album called Ouroboros Garden. And what I've been doing for the last like year is recording songs and releasing them onto the album one at a time exclusively on Patreon.
Okay.
And then for every 5 tracks, or for every 10 tracks that I release onto the Patreon, I take 5 of those and release them as an EP.
Wow.
And that way, eventually, and this is going to be like a never-ending album, where eventually the album, my hope is that it'll be like 100 tracks long. And 50 will be out publicly as a series of like 10 EPs, and then 50 will be private on Patreon for $1 a month.
Yeah.
And how I have it also set up is just like, for me personally, I don't know how other people do it. Like it might be different if you had a podcast and you give them an extra episode a week or something like that. But for me, I know that the people that are subscribing to mine are just people that are interested in supporting me as an artist because they like me.
Yeah.
And so instead of having it like each tier unlocks a new, block of content that they get, it's just like all of it from $1 to $30. It all opens up the same set of content, and just like however much you feel like. Because if you, I mean, I have like some friends that are like, they're programmers and they make money, not like me, like I'm impoverished, but they make money and they like that I'm an artist and they're like, I want to support you. So they'll be like, yeah, $30 a month, whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's how I do it. And then since then I also made like a separate Instagram account that I post to exclusively just for Patreon supporters. And then for my animations, I make this animated, credits thing. So it's like everyone that subscribes to my Patreon page or really actually supports me substantially in any way, I add them to the credits. And now every time I release an animation, which does take a while, like it'll be 6 months before I release the next one probably, but all of their names will be on that. And forever onwards, they can unsubscribe, but they'll always have access to the content. They'll always be credited to the animations and stuff.
That's cool.
I've thought a lot about this.
That's really cool. So when you're on Patreon, I looked into it a little bit, but do you prefer doing everything on the desktop? Do you think that's easier than working it on the mobile version?
Yeah, the mobile version is not. I mean, the app doesn't have as many features, and then I've been using my iPad since I've been out there. But yeah, using the desktop just like makes things easier to both like make content to put on there, and then also to like. It opens up different types of posts you can make and stuff.
Okay. Right.
So,
and then as far as like the income coming in, does it go right to your bank account or is there a bank on Patreon?
No, you can have it set up so it's just like direct deposit. Wow. So it's like first of the month or whatever it is, like and it takes a few days for the transaction to go through. But they charge everyone that's part of the Patreon and just like deposit. Right now mine's at like $250 a month.
Wow.
And
man,
not too bad.
Yeah,
I mean, like it's not gonna like I can't. It's not like I could survive on only that, except for the fact that I'm like living for having no bills in Seattle. But $250 a month for music,
and funnel it back into the project too.
And then I mean, just use it to buy cords, use it to buy mics, use it to buy merch.
Yeah,
I'm big on stickers. Stickers
I know you are.
Yeah,
I know you are.
Oh wait, let me.
Your sticker game is unmatched.
If you've ever seen one of these bad boys around town, that's me.
You most likely have. I've seen a few up on the North Ave Hill right over here.
I do it all the time. I was actually walking around and like somebody took down some of my stickers. So posting them up again. It's fun. It's like graffiti, but cleaner. Sure. Put a QR code on there.
Yeah. No, you were honestly one of the people that inspired me to have the QR codes on the stickers because it's just such a smart marketing tool.
Yeah. I mean, like people, and the thing is like you try to hand someone a card and they're like, this is lame. But you be like, you guys want a sticker? And it's got like cool art on it. Then they're like, yeah, I want a sticker. And then they can use it to like, I hand it out like 100 of them at that show at Scam Likely.
Yeah.
And it worked.
You have the QR right to your link tree kind of thing.
Yeah. And so it's got Spotify. It's got my animations on there.
Yeah.
Watch my animations. I'm a musician, but
you can pull one up here and play it in the background if you want to.
You should, yeah, for sure.
I honestly don't know if I watched that new one. That
Tone Alone at Home. That's a cool one.
The Trust for Me one is like comes to my mind.
Yeah, I have a couple up, and I'm working on more actually, but they take so goddamn long. I love animation.
What can there be done for the process to be sped up at all, or is that your process?
If more people are giving me money to be an artist, then I can spend more time on art as opposed to jobs. That's really kind of the goal. Is like eventually, if I made like a certain threshold, and it would be not very much. If I made $1,000 a month just on art, I would quit my job and live like a yeah, that one, A Tone Alone at Home. That one, I'm proud of that one too. It's really sad.
Is it okay if I mute it?
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, we can listen to it. I'd be down to.
But
see if I could play it.
Yeah, they take a long time. And this one, I did all these clever little tricks to cut down. One, stylistically, it's just black and white, so I didn't have to color it, which reduces the amount of time you have to spend on it by a lot. But I also did this
instead of coloring it
in the track. There's these clicks that do the rhythm, and so I had it do this like on and off thing for the animations, which cut down the amount of frames I had to draw by half.
Oh sure, like
it's coming in and out, and I made it part of the style, but it also like cut down on the amount of labor.
God damn, dude, you have such a unique style. How long have you been animating?
I think I started in 2013 or 14. So about 8 years.
It's always been on the iPad kind of thing.
No, Trust for Me was done on like a tablet. Oh, this is the credits I was talking about. There's more. There's a lot more names on it now. But now, just like it's anytime anyone subscribes for even a month, their names go on that for the rest of their lives, or for the rest of my life. Anyways, so when next time I make actually, let me show you the one I'm working on right now.
Yeah.
Who knows if it'll pick up well on this camera, but the band Animal Collective?
I do not.
Okay, well, highly recommend.
Okay.
They have this it's also smart to pick short songs to animate, because then you can put out the same amount of projects, but I mean, just like if it's a 2-minute song instead of a 5-minute song, that's like less than half the work. Yep. but I'm working on this one for one of their tracks here. I'll put it up.
Oh, this is for them. Wow. They paying you to do this thing?
No. Maybe when I'm done. Who knows? That's how I did Trust for Me. This last scene is not done yet, so it's going to cut in and out, but they're going to be smoking a hookah and stuff. Wow. Working on it.
Super sick.
Right?
So just for did you ask them to do a video?
No.
Kind of thing?
What I'm going to do is just make a really nice video for them, and who knows? I'm going to try my best to get them to see it.
Right.
But if they don't, either way, the idea for this particular one, because I've been doing them for my own tracks lately, or basically since the beginning, and I thought that I love this band, and if their audience were to find my animations and music, they would probably also find out that they liked me.
Right.
So right, and so I'm just gonna make it and then just like put it out, and hopefully everyone or like a lot of people that like Animal Collective will see it, and they'll be like, "Who's this guy?" And then they'll find me.
Yeah.
Because like even like you post like if you ever do a cover of a song,
right?
That you like, it's kind of like that. It's like I'm almost like doing a cover, except it's an animation.
And then like who knows? Maybe they'll post it on their channels, and
I wouldn't be surprised because I actually think it looks very nice, and you know. This one is called Trustworthy, and
how long did this one take you?
2 years. Wow! But I'm really proud of it. And then when I was finished, I didn't have any plans. I knew I was going to release it for myself, but I also had the email for a person at Adult Swim because I had made this earlier project called Themes Without Variations. This long, very strange project that's how I started animating. And so what I did was I cut up that project, which is like 25 minutes long, and I cut out all of the best little pieces, like 10 to 30 second clips, and I started sending them to the Facebook page of this show that I like on Adult Swim.
Yeah.
And then eventually somebody hit me back up and was like, well, here's an email. When you finish your next project, just send it over. And I was like, okay. Damn. And then like 2 years later, I finished this, sent it to them, and this person was like, we'll put it out as an Adult Swim Small, which is this this platform where they just like put out small one-off video. Well, I mean, I think the original idea was that like this is a sort of like a we want to have people who don't have the means to like make a full production like series. We want to have sort of like a incubator for them. So if they can only afford to make 1 minute videos at a time, then we'll just put out those instead online. And anything that does, particularly well and has a premise that suits us, like a episodic series thing, we can turn that into a series. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's how it worked out at all. I think they started using the money that the people that were doing this like little side project for Adult Swim and putting it out online, I think they were just using it as like some funding to buy and promote projects that they liked. Not necessarily stuff that would work for a series like Rick and Morty or, Adventure Time or anything like that. Uh-huh. And then after I got this one on there, which was like a lot of luck. I worked very hard on this, and
it catches your eye.
I'm really proud of it, but it's
awesome.
Also like it didn't have to happen at all. There was a moment there where like they were trying to publish it, and they were like, "But we want to own it outright. We want to own it and the song and everything."
Sure.
And I was like, I don't know. I mean, like
and the song.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like I don't know anything about signing contracts, and I just felt a little bit uncomfortable. So I was like, I don't know. I guess maybe not. Yeah. And then they were like, well, we'll give you this amount of dollars less, and we'll just license them from you. So you still own it, but we have the rights to like put it out. And I was like, that works for me great, Yeah. And it was still like decent money for the project. Yeah. And now I get to go to any show. This was before I made the credits. Sure. But anytime I go and play a show, I can be like, hey, look, you can scan this and you can find an animation that I made that Adult Swim published.
Yeah.
And people are like, whoa.
Totally. Add it to the resume.
It's like a name drop. It's
nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah. Do you have an EPK kit? An electronic press kit?
I know that I ought to. I basically, whenever I send stuff out to like a label or something, which I haven't done enough of. Honestly, I feel like if I really made it the focal point of like what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah.
Maybe I could get on an indie label because
it depends on what you want to do,
Yeah, I don't even know how much that would help or whatever.
Yeah.
But basically, I always make it from the ground up, from scratch. I probably should. I kind of have like an idea of like how to send something out to like a review site or whatever, or but I probably should. Maybe I'll ask you about like how do you do it?
Well, I've been getting one together because I've had this like loose one like that I haven't really been using for a while, kind of shitty. And then my buddy Bridger, who works with the Diet.
I know Bridger.
Boys,
yeah.
Yep. Hey, Club Kramer.
Yep.
He that kind of reminded me, like, do you have an EP kit together? And I was like, yeah, kind of shitty. And so he sent me a template for Diet Lights, and I was like, damn, yeah, this is super consumable, just a PDF.
I should watch that. I never met Diet Light, but I know of them.
Oh, they're fun. They're good ass dudes. They're cool. It has like all the social links, and you can like click them, and it brings you right to where you need to go. But basically, I've been whipping one together, and I mean, I can show you if you want.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm very interested. It's one of those things that's like, man, I know I need to do that, but there's so many other things that I'm doing. I'm making posters, making animation, trying to write songs, trying to book shows and stuff, and it's just like, man.
And mainly, I just want to use this one and I'm using Canva.
Oh, nice.
Don't judge me.
I don't even know it.
And it's kind of like a Photoshop, but free. And just kind of having all the venues performed with, some like write-ups, bio, I got to finish that, and then discography. And it's just like a PDF where you can just send out to whoever that you're trying to
I was at, my friend proposed to his girlfriend on Saturday, and she said yes. Nice. And it was cool. And he was like, everyone, we're going to surprise her at Art Bar on Monday. So be there at 5:45, and then we were all there and surprised her and stuff like that. And
Today?
then I mentioned, like before I came here, and so I was like, I actually have to leave around like 7:50 to go to this guy Parker's for a podcast. He does a band called Social Seg, and Rachel, the girl that said yes, was like, oh, I know them. They opened for Wet Leg at the Pass, and I was like, yeah, I know, it's crazy,
fucking insane, man. That's obviously the number one there. They're fucking ginormous right now, but
it's just the same thing where it's like all of a sudden, like some other name that has clout, and you can just like drop that on people. Like name dropping, kind of like
depends on the setting.
Well,
but,
right, sure. I mean, like I can tell people I got something published by Adult Swim, and you can say like, yeah, I opened up for Wet Leg, and people are like, whoa,
right,
it's nice,
right. Instead of being like, there's. I feel like name dropping kind of has like a bad rep. Like,
well, I guess
you do it in a slimy way, but like if you do it like you just mentioned, it sounds totally normal.
Right. I mean, you just like tell people something that happened, and
yeah,
you know, if I was like, well, yeah,
what?
Well, I meant, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, if I was,
definitely,
you could probably make it douchey if you wanted to, but really, it's just about like, you know, you have to have some. I mean, at some point, people have to start to understand that you're not like playing a musician for fun. You're like, actually,
this is
what you're doing, you know?
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This is the long project. It's a really weird one, but it's,
can I keep it on?
Yeah, definitely. It's 25 minutes. So
sweet.
Yeah. This one took another probably 3 years to make, and I made this this giant MIDI it's like electronic MIDI classical psychedelic composition thing. Goes on for 25 minutes. I just wrote straight for 25 minutes, and then
so there's dropped music that goes along with this. I'm just gonna unmute it for a sec.
The music is interesting too. This is like one of my first big projects too.
What the fuck? This is sick.
It goes on and on and on.
It's like Guitar Hero in a way.
Yeah. And so I dropped it into this program that visualizes the MIDI notes, and I was like, oh, this looks cool. I should have some colors behind it. And then I figured out a way to like key out the black background, bring some colors in to sort of react to the music. Mm-hmm. And then as I got further and further into the project, I was like, man, what would look really cool for some of these moments is like some animation. And that's how I started animating.
Got you.
Mm-hmm. You'll see it later on. We can leave it on because it goes on forever. You know?
Yeah. Absolutely. So sick. So as far as living in Seattle, like, do you like it over there?
It's really complicated, and I don't have even like a typical Seattle living situation. I do not live in a house or an apartment with roommates or anything like that.
Is it expensive over there in general, I guess?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I haven't even really looked because I have no interest in trying very hard to rent out something in, Seattle because it's so expensive. I know like, a little tiny, I mean like something like 1/8 the size of this room would be like $1,500 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
And you living in Milwaukee, you're like, wow, that sounds like I don't want to do that. I'm
No,
trying
yeah,
to do
right,
that.
right.
Like the minimum wage is like $17.50 there, I think, but that doesn't really mean that you can like. I do not want to just scrape by barely,
Right,
because that's
right.
hard.
Yeah, it's kind of like New York too, I guess, in a way. With like, I would not give up I don't know. At this point in my life, I don't want to give up the room space and living space for living a different lifestyle in a smaller apartment kind of thing with neighbors real close by. Like, I don't know. That's not
No,
for me.
I know it is a sacrifice because I mean, like, so yeah. So instead of renting out a place, I live in this hostel. I share a bunk bed, and I live in a room with 7 other people. That's way smaller than this room. Wow. And it's very interesting because like, there's me. I'm a trade worker. I work for room and board and food, and there's usually about 20 of us that work at this hostel, and then there's like something like 150 guests that are coming in and out like every day, internationally too, especially because it's like there's not that many hostels in America, period, and this one is like right dead center downtown Seattle, as downtown as it gets.
Yeah.
And so, it's all international, like world traveler type people that are coming through that little hostel. And so you go down into the common space and it's always full of people. And during breakfast, you'll sit down at a table by yourself and just like drink a cup of coffee, have some toast or whatever. And you'll hear conversations in like 5 different languages all around you because there's people from Germany and France and Brazil and Argentina and Japan all in the same room together.
Cool.
It is really cool. It's like real like diversity on like this international scale where it's like you really have no idea who this person sitting next to you, like they could be from Moscow. They could be from Hong Kong. They could be from anywhere at all. And it's really interesting. A lot of people that are moving from wherever they're from to America to try to like figure it out. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, this is one of the first animations I ever made in terms of like hand drawn stuff.
Okay.
Anyways, but there's people that are trying to figure out a way to live in America as like an immigrant they've only been in America for a day, and they're spending a week at the hostel before they have to figure out how to actually find a place to live in America, and they might not even have like the papers for that. Wow. So it can be really wild. Yeah. And then also, I'm
sure you've talked to a lot of these people too.
Yeah. I mean, tons of them.
That's sweet.
And it's really interesting. I almost like, so I've been out there for 6 months and then I came back to Milwaukee like a couple days ago. Yep. And it's been interesting the perspective I've gained because I kind of acclimated to that environment, which is a weird environment. And now I kind of take it for granted. And then I came back to Milwaukee and I was like, I was getting food at this restaurant, and there was this woman there with a really cool accent. Cheers. Cheers. With a really cool accent, and I was like, said to my friend, I was like, oh, I should ask her where she's from because I'm so used to doing that. Sure. And he was like, you don't do that here, and I was like, oh damn, that's kind of sad. Well, yeah. I mean, like I don't know. I think that's him. I don't think it's actually.
Well, that is interesting.
You want to be
have that as
but
a
I mean,
first like reaction to ask someone where they're from,
Right. I mean, because I know she's not from here.
Right.
And I've gotten actually kind of like good at almost like placing. Oh, I'm pretty sure this person's from France.
Right. Right.
But I would have to ask, and then you get to like strike up a conversation about like, oh, where are you from? And they want to talk. They actually do want to tell you about like their hometown, the place that they grew up, and just sort of like how they made it work in America and stuff like that. Like I'm used to that now. And, I would say like I was saying before, I kind of take it for granted because it's such an interesting life, but now I've been doing it for long enough where I sort of like it just feels like normal.
Yeah. That's sick.
Yeah.
It's super cool. It's like you're letting the world come to you in a way,
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And, But it can be really complicated. I mean, moving to a new and big city that you don't know anybody in is just complicated because it's like when you've been in Milwaukee for however many years, for example, you know the music scene, you know the venues, you have some really good friends that you've known for years, and you have your family maybe close by and all of that. And then going to a new place, like you don't have any friends. And like, even when you do you can make a friend in a night, sure. But that's not the same thing as like somebody that you've known for 10 years and you've like been to their wedding or like helped them through a really hard time. Yeah. So it's a little bit lonely to like not have any friends like that in your life, in your like immediate vicinity. Yeah. And then also, a couple of my roommates literally had, they basically like, they went too hard on the drug scene, maybe in Seattle. And
some people you met recently?
They were my roommates.
Oh,
like
whoa.
I shared a bunk with 2 people in the last 6 months.
In the hostel?
Yeah, with two separate people in the last 6 months that had to leave because like I guess I really honestly almost shouldn't go too far into it. One of them is now homeless, and the other one went in and out of the hospital a bunch of times. And I was right in the middle of both of those situations, and it was chaos for real.
Wow.
Because it's like a hostel, especially living at a hostel, not like staying at a hostel, which is like, you get to dip your toes in the water. But when you stay there, such a turbulent environment. Because like every friend you make is either there for a day, a week, a month, maybe 3. And then I have like 2 or 3 friends from the hostel that are there long term, like I am.
That you've known the whole
and
time.
now that like my friend I don't know if Deborah's gonna watch this, but Deborah, most beautiful person in the entire world. She's such the sweetest person in the world. I love you, Deborah. You're the best of all time.
Shout out, Deb.
Yeah, she's from Brazil.
Oh, cool.
And so
cool.
She taught me how to say "Oi, meu nome é Kyle, tudo bem?" Which is like, "My name's Kyle. How are you doing?" in Brazil or Portuguese.
Sick.
But yeah, I have a couple friends like that, and then I've learned like I got to make some friends that aren't from the hostel now because they're all going back to Argentina, back to Japan or wherever, and I'm maybe never gonna see them again.
Yeah.
So then I've recently started making friends. Like, I mean, I had acquaintances in the music scene, and then more recently I made I've been finding myself becoming really good friends with some people in the music scene. Sweet. Which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you meet them from like open mics and stuff.
Yeah. I was telling you earlier, there's like, there's an open mic basically every single night, probably multiple open mics every single night within like 10 miles of me in Seattle. Yeah. And the public transit's there is good enough where you can make it to any of them pretty easily. And like I was saying, there's this one Connor Burns that I go to on Sundays that like there's like 50 something musicians trying to get on that list every single weekend. And a lot of people just don't get on, I mean, like, they don't want to stay till 1:30 in the morning to play. Right. It's hot unlike any other open mic I've ever been to, where it's just like, there's so many, I mean, like there's like 100 people in that room, and half of them are trying to get on stage tonight, and all of them are above average good. Sure. It's not even like hobbyists that are like, oh, I started playing guitar 3 months ago and I decided to try to like write a song and stuff, which is great, but it's also like the pressure or the concentration of talent is just like higher. Yeah. Yeah. In a place like that.
But you can hang easily with those people.
Hopefully. I mean,
dude.
I've been out there for a while, and I feel like I'm nowadays I walk into like an open mic and I know most of the people there, and they know me, and feels like they like what I do, which is like a good feeling.
Oh yeah.
And it takes a minute to get there, because like even if they did like what you were doing, this part's good, right? Even if they do like what you're doing, like they might not have seen you enough times to really approach you and say like hello.
Ooh.
This was one of the first like hand-drawn animation moments that I made, and yeah, this project's really experimental. I really want to get to a point where once in a while I can host a show where it's like, it's me, I have an opening act, and then it's me, and then I just play all of my animations front to back.
Yeah.
And
would you want the animations to go like in time with your music?
No. I mean, I mean, like most of them.
You did that kind of Club Kramer though, no?
I think I didn't even know that was happening. They had a projector, and I started playing, and someone just like started playing my animations behind me.
Sick.
Which would also be cool. I mean, that's also cool. If there's a projector there, I'll be like, yeah, throw my animations up on mute, just like we're doing now.
Yep.
But it would be nice to be able, because like I'm really proud of this project, but it is kind of like you have to sit down and watch it from front to back, and it's 25 minutes, and it's fucking weird. It's a weird project. But it really,
a bowl and put it on
for real. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't promote it that much because it's so odd. But I have screened it a few, like when I first put it out, I screened it a few times, and it was always really fun. Mm-hmm. And I would like to set up more shows where it's like where the people that bought a ticket or whatever know that they're coming in and they're gonna see some music, some performers, but they're also going to sit down and watch some projects that I've made, because like they take a long time, and
it ups the level of your performance, or just makes it more like something that people would want to come and see.
Yeah. And also like people that maybe didn't even know that, like, I mean, I find a lot of times people know me because they've seen me play. And they've heard, oh yeah, he like does some visual thing. He does animations or something. What is that? And they'll ask me and stuff. And then eventually they'll see one of them and they'll be like, holy, you're actually like an animator. Like they're surprised, but I've been telling them since the beginning.
I've always been here.
I mean, like you can tell somebody like, oh, I have an album on Spotify, but they have to actually go and listen to it before they know.
Oh yeah, totally. The hardest thing is to get people to go from, especially if it's like an online kind of thing, like to get someone from Instagram to Spotify is tough.
Right, exactly.
Instagram to YouTube is pretty tough.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So you just got to keep hounding.
Especially when you have to use like Linktree as an intermediary.
Sure.
It's like, you go there and then make a choice.
Right.
And people are like, choices? I don't want to do that. That sounds like work.
I've been having a good amount of, I guess, clicks, not anything crazy, but on the Instagram stories, if you put the link there and you promote it that way and just have the link click right there, it's like one less click than the link tree. Instead of like saying link in my bio, you can just say right here. But yeah, it's like it's an extension of your art. You are like just an artist in different ways, and you're
that's why I'm
it out.
On Instagram. I'm like kjk.artist instead of musician or animator, because it's both. At this point, I'm like, man, I wish animation didn't take so fucking long. But I do consider myself almost as much an animator as I did a musician. I've been doing music for twice as long, for sure.
Got you. When did you start doing music?
I was 15, and I'm about to turn 32. So about it'll be 17 years like this summer or something like that.
Over half your life, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you start on guitar?
No, my mom made me take piano lessons when I was in like 4th and 5th grade, and I just didn't like it. I've learned this about myself, that I don't like taking lessons. I don't like school. I don't like having a plan for learning, because I drop out of everything. I dropped out of piano, and then I did saxophone for band in middle school, and I dropped out of that. And that's when I started playing guitar. And I did jazz band for high school for like a semester or something, and dropped out of that. And then I went to UWO Oshkosh for music for 3 semesters, and I dropped out of that too.
Got you.
But guitar, I never really took any lessons for.
Wow, so you are self-taught?
I mean, like
YouTube,
you learn off. Yeah, exactly.
People.
I mean, like,
that
kind of. Yeah,
I would say self-taught.
Yeah,
still. Yeah.
Self-directed.
Jesus Christ.
And
like watching you play, it seems like you have some crazy like classical music background.
When I was in school, I was already doing this like sort of like classical guitar type thing. I had some songs that were like already like what I do now. But I was in the guitar program at UWO for the couple semesters that I was there. And I didn't learn. I learned from that. I think it's like negligible compared to what I learned on my own, but I did take a couple semesters and I was in the guitar program. So I don't want to like diminish that.
Sure.
I took some classes, but I would probably put it at least like 90 something percent self-taught and then like maybe 10% from those classes.
So how'd you learn how to sing then?
That is also just me. I think I have always tried to write something that was very interesting to me first and then learn how to perform it. And usually like what I end up writing is like, man, that's tough. I'm in the middle of trying to figure out how to play a song right now. And it's
like a song that you wrote.
Yeah, that I wrote. Okay. I wrote. I mean, like I have like the melody. I wrote the guitar part. I wrote the melody. And then the lyrics sometimes like I was gonna show you that for this song that I wrote, I started writing lyrics here, and then what I'll do is I'll write many different versions of the lyrics, and and just keep on writing more and then reducing down to like the very least amount that I can.
So that is all one song so far. Wow.
And this is as close written down that I have to the final version, but I actually think I just cracked the writing for it over the last couple days. Not all songs are like that. Some of them I don't take that much time with the lyrics, but sometimes it's like, I have to write like 15 pages and then erase or like, scratch out 90% of that and then just like have the thing I'm trying to say.
So like what is your
but then I have to learn how to play it. Okay, I know how it goes, but it's like, how it goes where you write a song, maybe you've practiced it a few times and then you play it out live and you realize I need to make changes here because it didn't work like I expected it to when I played it in front of an audience. And sometimes these songs, I have to eat shit in front of an audience like 8 times on a song before I finally settle on a way that I can play it.
Interesting.
That seems like it works.
Do you play off of people's reactions kind of thing to certain parts?
I don't know how much of it is actually me paying attention to how they're reacting to it or how much of it is me trying to work through my own psychology. I don't know enough about, I don't know how to be that self-aware of like, because I know that definitely like I get off stage sometimes miserable because I'm like, I definitely bombed just now. And then people will be like, I'll say that to them and they'll be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so I know that like maybe, I mean, it's hard to say, but I definitely like feel like a lot of times I have to learn how to get out of my own way when I'm performing a song because like there's a way that I want it to go. And then there's a way that actually like feels natural to play certain hit certain parts of certain songs. And if I try too hard to force it to be this thing that I want it to be, then it doesn't usually, maybe it works fine, but I feel bad when I'm trying to force it.
Instead of letting it come from a deeper place.
Right. I really do have to like let it settle within myself when I'm premiering a song or like just figuring out, there's this one song that to me feels like pretty enormous, like in terms of just like how hard it was to write, how hard it is to perform, and just like how many different mechanically how it goes from part to part to part and how I want it to like flow dynamically. And I mean, like,
you have so many different parts and ways your songs go.
Depending on the song, for sure. Some of them I try so hard to make it as simple as possible, but I guess that's just not in my nature because oftentimes I'll end up I'll have like an initial idea, and then maybe I'll have like a B section that I know I'm gonna like sort of like weave in with this A section, but I'll try to find ways to do it verse to verse that are different every time. Like maybe I change the guitar part, maybe I change from finger picking to strumming, or vice versa, or maybe if it is strumming both verses, then the first time it'll be like full strumming. I don't know how to put it. And then the second verse, it'll be like staccato, where I leave spaces between each like hit of the guitar or whatever. I want something to change from moment to moment in the song.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to just like merely repeat myself. Reiteration of an idea helps an audience maybe learn the song. This is why like pop songs are like, we have a verse, we have a chorus, and we do that 3 times.
And by the last chorus, you're already singing the words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there is a virtue to reiterating an idea enough where the audience becomes familiar with the song. This is just how I think about it. There's a million different ways to think about anything, but how I think about it is that like, yeah, you definitely want people to become familiar with your music, because I'm sure you know this, where it's like sometimes you'll hear something and it sounds so strange that you don't know whether or not you like it at all. And then once you learn it, you're like, this is my favorite song.
Right. You got to give it a few listens.
Because like familiarity is really important in music, maybe especially.
Yeah. That goes with like song titles too. If you have a really good hook that like sticks in people's head, that's what you want to name the song, especially in pop music.
Yeah. And so I kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah, I mean, like I just, reiterating things is a good idea, but I do like to make the song progress from part to part, so that even if they know that I'm doing like going after the same sort of like melodic phrase or something like that, that they can be like taken for a ride. Like, oh, this is a bigger moment than it was last time I heard it, which I think is just fun for me personally.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the first time, I don't know if I've told you, but the first time I saw you play at an open mic, and I think I've only seen you play at open mics, but my jaw like dropped, and I feel like that's a normal reaction for people when you play your music. Because you like it is. I've never heard or seen a performance like what you do like ever. It is so unique to what you do, and it just sticks out. It's just like it just turns your head, and it makes you like, what is this?
Good.
But and then like your falsettos, man, are fucking crazy.
I get Tiny Tim all the time. Somebody said, it made me mad because someone.
That's the one song people probably know by Tiny
Tiptoe
Tim.
Through the Tulips. Yeah. And then that's the one in SpongeBob. The first episode of SpongeBob has a Tiny Tim song.
Is that?
It's really good.
Tim, sure.
But somebody said like, oh, you're like Tiny Tim, except good, and Tiny Tim wasn't good. And I was like, first of all, like, chill with the comparison. Yeah. Well, I don't actually mind it, but because I like Tiny Tim, but I did not like that he was also using it to insult him, because that guy was cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It took a lot of courage to do what he did.
Yeah. What a interesting person, because I don't know a whole lot about Tiny Tim, but the Insidious, that movie with Tiptoe Through the Tulips, they like resurfaced the song that he did with that. And then I remember looking back at old clips of him playing that song live on TV, and people were like laughing at him.
Yes. Yeah.
And then now, a bunch of years later, it's used in one of the biggest horror films of the decade, maybe. I don't know. And it was like, oh, chills. But yeah, that guy's interesting.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, for being a solo act, I like to try to make it as like wild as possible, dynamic. I want my stuff to be like people to anticipate like, oh, this is the quiet section of the song, and all of a sudden I'm like ripping on a chord or something like that, and they're like, shit, that's what I want. I want to play people's emotions.
Yeah. And to keep things always like changing and different dynamically with how you're strumming it, and how how it's structured definitely keeps people's attention too if you're just doing it solo as well. That's interesting. Yeah. Do you think you'll ever incorporate like other members in the band as we talked before?
Yeah. We were saying
the long run.
I've thought a lot about first a drummer. I've done it with just a drummer before, and it is complicated to work with people, but I do think that I could basically hold that down. You know, I mean, like, and even if I couldn't, I can at this point. After a few projects of mine with another person sort of like came and went, and it was like I wrote all these songs leaving space for another person to fill in that space, and they can't be merely replaced. Like usually if I was going to collaborate with someone, it would be someone with like pretty unique ideas that they take an active role in shaping the sound of what we're going to do. And then, you know, all of a sudden bands break up, you know, and then I found myself like, oh man, I can't even play my songs anymore. They don't work. And so I'll have to write a whole new set of songs, which for me, I mean, like I personally take sometimes 3 to 6 months to finish a song, and I'm like trying to figure it out. Not all of them. Some of them fall right into place. Yeah. And that's like, whew. But other ones, it's like, man, that took forever.
Yeah.
So I've always been, so after a certain point, I was just like, you know, I'm just gonna be a solo artist because I think I can work out a pretty good sound on my own, and then I won't have to deal with trying to reinvent the whatever it is I'm doing when the band breaks up, you know. But at this point now I have like albums out and I have like recordings of what I would put there if there was a drummer.
Right.
And I think it would be a lot easier and simpler now to do that. And so I have thought a lot about it. I have no concrete plans to start a band. I've thought a lot about, because I've been in Seattle for 6 months, and it was initially when I went out there, I was telling everyone right before the release, the going away show, I was like, I'm never coming back. But it was just a tactic to get them to come to come to the show. But it was always open ended. But I kind of thought like, oh, if I made it out there for 3 months, I'll have had a nice time. I mean, a lot of it was just kind of like,
I remember talking to you right before you left, and you're like, maybe just for the summer kind of thing.
Yeah. I didn't know if I went out there and I was miserable, I'm not going to just like suffer in order to like prove a point or something like that. There has been some suffering. I mean, life is hard, but in general, it's been worth it. And now I've been out there for 6 months, like 3 months longer than I thought was like the minimum for me. And I still plan on, I'm going to go back in January and hang for at least 3 months, but I really don't know. It is so open-ended on my end that
maybe you could go to a different hostel in a different city.
That's exactly it. I mean, like if anyone ever wants to travel and they don't have any person in particular that they need to like sort of like plan that with, try to find a work trade thing with hostels in a city that you want to be in. Because like, I mean, like, I didn't even really know about it until I visited Seattle last year. And then someone told me about this like work trade thing where you trade your work for the hostel or for the farm or whatever. There's this thing called Woofer where people do it. And they just like put you up, and then you can kind of like live with no expenses because they're feeding you and they're letting you stay there. And I've thought a lot about like, there's some stuff. I know about some hostels in Colorado. I know about hostels in Hawaii. Oh, I know about hostels in Austin.
Sure. That's one that came to my mind was Austin.
I know. And actually there's people out there, like I meet people from like internationally, but I also like tons of people from any city or from there's people that have like, they've been jumping around from city to city and they've lived in all of the big ones in the United States.
Wow.
Or I mean, more than that. There's a Spaniard from the hostel named Marcos, and he speaks Spanish because he grew up in Spain. Mm-hmm. And then he went to Italy and knows Italian. And then he went to Moscow and he learned Russian. And then he went to Sao Paulo and he learned Portuguese. And then at some point he learned English as well, and he speaks them all perfectly.
Monster.
I know. He's like, yeah.
That's so cool.
I know. Yeah. He's
and
an
talk about
guy.
being a musician too. That's like literally you could look at it like you're touring. You're on tour.
I know.
Way, you know.
I was thinking, actually, I was talking to Scam about this, and I was thinking about maybe like, okay, now I have real connections in Seattle. People that are doing really well out there that I like them, they like me, and they know what I do. And then Charlie was like, you should just do a slow motion tour where you just like stay in a city for 3 months, make those connections, and then move to the next city. And I was like, that's not a bad idea, honestly.
Literally.
And then, yeah.
Especially as a solo project, that's like,
I know.
so sick.
So at this point, it's like, yes, I've thought a lot about starting a band, but I'm so not settled. I don't know where I'm going to be in 3 months, honestly.
Yeah.
Probably Seattle, but it could be somewhere else. And definitely 6 months to a year, I could be in Japan.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. That's exciting.
I know. It's exciting and also kind of like
You're right.
a little like it's hard not to know anything about your future. Yeah. But it is exciting. So I don't know what I'm going to do. And it's like hard to commit to like, oh yeah. Cause I thought about, moving back to Seattle in the springtime. Cause I love Wisconsin. Like winter for me is super depressing, but I love springtime and summer in Wisconsin.
Oh my God.
I know it's explosively,
Awesome. It's so
exploding with life. And
Yep.
just like, there's rivers running down the sidewalks from all the snow melt. It's one of my favorite things about Wisconsin is the springtime and summer. And
we kind of got gypped out of a springtime this last summer, I might say.
Yeah.
The winter lasted so long.
Yeah, I know.
There's lots of cloudy days and rainy days.
Yeah.
I like rainy days, but when they're cold rainy days,
Yeah.
I always say summers in Milwaukee in general, just so dreamy, man.
I know.
They're awesome.
Everyone is so just excited that they don't have to put on 6 layers to go outside,
Right.
And it is beautiful. I mean, like the weather is perfect during the summer.
Trees are so green. There's so many trees in Milwaukee.
And my friends and family are here, which is important.
Yeah.
I've also, that was like something you take for granted. And then you move across the country and you're like, shit, I'm having a hard time and I can maybe get one of my friends on the phone, but they're 2 hours ahead of me and they're probably sleeping. And so like, but yeah, I don't know about starting a band if I don't know where I'm going to be.
No worries.
Exactly.
I feel like you're doing what you got to do and you're doing what you like, what works,
For me,
far. Yeah. Have you ever thought about doing like a drum machine kind of thing or like looper pedals?
Man, I have this whole thing where there's this guy that goes by Orange Drink. He's an interesting artist.
Orange Drink, I like
he
that.
had this thing. He had this thing where he would just set up a piano stand, like one of those axes, and then he'd put a bass case down, and he opened it up, and inside he gutted the bass case so it doesn't have any of the imprint of a bass.
Stuff.
Yeah, that stuff. Yeah. He took it all out, and then he sort of like drilled down all of his like live setup so he can just like pop open the thing and all of a sudden he's got all of his synths and everything plugged in right ready. So I started doing that because I work a lot with Ableton.
Okay.
And
yeah, I haven't asked you that yet.
Yeah, I use Ableton to record on my albums.
Interesting.
On my albums, everything you hear on my albums is me. I perform all of it unless it's like a sample. But I chose those samples and I edited them in and produced and stuff. Yep. But I can do some really, really interesting stuff with Ableton, like on the fly. Cause I would have, here's one example of something that I would do is,
there's you.
That's me. Yeah. Looking good. That's before the facial hair.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I like the goatee.
Yeah, it's better. It's better. Yeah. But, I make these like sort of ambient soundscapes. So the rule when I make them is no tonality. So no melodies or chord progressions or anything and no rhythm. So it's just expressive noise through like dynamics and timbre. Wow. And then what I would do is I'd record them and put them on my phone, put my phone through a volume pedal and into the PA system as I was playing. And that way I could push.
Wait, say that again. Through your phone?
So I have the soundscapes on my phone. And then I would run them through just a volume pedal into the board.
Wow.
As I was playing. Because that way, because I like noise in music. I mean, like, I don't know how often I'll just sit down and listen to a full noise album or something like that. Sure. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I'm open-minded.
Yeah.
But I like having like crazy textures and like, I mean, Animal Collective is my favorite band, and they famously used tons of noise in their composition.
Okay.
And so what I would do is I'd be playing just like you see me play live, but this added element of anytime I wanted, I'd have these, 25-minute soundscapes running of like just crazy noise. And I would push that in with the volume pedal as I was playing, and it would just like make this atmosphere underneath what I was doing. And that's like just one example, but I also had these 3 other expression pedals that I would have tied to different effects on my guitar, on my guitar and vocals. And
Is that as of late, or have you always done that?
I've done that in my own house,
okay.
But I never took the time to actually like screw everything down so that I can like pick it up. There's been a few times where I've busted that out. But it's so easy to go up on stage with just a guitar. If you start adding extra elements where you have to like, okay, hold on everybody.
Especially at the open mic.
Yeah, exactly. I have to plug everything in and make sure everything's dialed in. And then if like, oh, the program crashes, then what happens to my set?
Yep.
But I have done some, I mean, like, man, I really should actually get that working like clockwork, so I can use that because I can all of a sudden like add just like imagine my set, but I have guitar effects and vocal effects and looping effects and stuff, because I do that kind of stuff. But it was all kind of like stuff that I waited until after I was finished with Trustworthy and Knee Disease in 2020, and I started working on that kind of stuff to get it ready for live, and then I never really got it set up so that it was easy enough where I wanted to bust it out in most live settings. I have done it a few times. I have this MIDI guitar, which is like a synth for guitar.
So like a keytar?
Not a keytar. It's got 6 strings that are held within this little box right where you plug things.
Yeah.
And then on the neck, it just has not even buttons, but just like it has the frets there, and it has these like rubber lines where the strings would be, and it can sense where your fingers are, and then you can play the guitar like a synth. And use it to like run synth sounds through Ableton.
I've never heard of that before.
It's really cool.
What is it called?
MIDI guitar.
MIDI guitar.
If you look it up, they got them.
Kind of want to look that.
They look almost like a rock band guitar,
sure.
But instead of buttons, they just have like things that look kind of like strings, but it's all just like rubber that's set in place that have sensors.
So is it like an acoustic or electric more so?
They look like electrics from the ones that I've tried out, and I have one. They're not I mean, some of them are like real guitars, and the technology has definitely like grown since but mine kind of looks like I don't know.
Yeah, these look kind of like a guitar.
Mine almost looks like that.
Oh, what?
That's not the exact one that I have, but yeah, you can play it like you could play a synth.
Oh, dude,
you should try to get one because they're not even that expensive.
Really?
Not as expensive as a nice guitar.
Yeah. That's sick.
And so, there's a lot I could do with my live sound,
especially with Ableton too, because I've heard Ableton is really nice for incorporating it into a live set.
It's called Ableton Live for a reason. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And again, it's really hard to get away from just the ease of just getting up on stage with just a guitar and being able to do everything I can already do.
Right.
And so do I want to complicate that more? Yes, but with an asterisk. but it comes with some extra like pain of like trusting that these machines are going to work. Cause like, yeah, computers. So, I mean, like I love them for what they can do, but it's also like, do I really want to trust that in a live setting?
Right.
You know,
Right.
Especially when I haven't yet.
Yep.
There were a few basement shows where I busted that kind of stuff out, and they were really fun. Like people really were like, what the fuck am I listening to right now? But in a good way. They were like, this is crazy. What is he doing? But in a way that it seemed like they enjoyed a lot.
Yeah.
But
have you ever thought about scoring ever? Something?
Yeah. I would love to like make video game music. That would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Video game music especially.
I recognize the first song in the project you just released. Was it 2022? Mm-hmm. The first song is like very kind of
video game. Yeah, that one's written out in MIDI. Like I do a lot of MIDI writing. I really like how much it opens up for you. To be able to write without worrying about like, I don't play the trumpet, you know? I mean, like I want a trumpet in my music, but do I want to like write it out and then like find a trumpet player and then hopefully they can show up to the show and then also like split the bill with them or whatever, you know? I mean, like if it were up to me, if I just like if I had infinite resources, like it would be awesome to just have like an orchestra on call that I could write for, because I love all that kind of like I love classical music. I mean the good stuff or the stuff that I like a lot. I love Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, Debussy, and I wish I had that kind of like those kind of resources at my fingertips.
Dude,
but
one day I feel if you just keep going,
that would be sweet.
Keep going.
I've thought a lot about even like, what if I put together a band where it was me on guitar and singing, and then I had a like a cello player as like the bass and then I had like a pair of trumpet players or some flute or clarinet players or something, and it'd like try to keep it small, because it's like how financially do you make that work when you have like a bigger and bigger band, you know?
Right.
I share bills with like I'll be playing solo, and then I'll be playing on a bill with 4 bands that each have 4 or 5 members on it and stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, it's hard for me to make money doing this. How the hell are they making money? You know?
Right.
So
I feel if you just keep going to the point where your music is so well known, like you're doing theaters and stuff, then you can, start incorporating some of that.
That's kind of the dream.
Yeah.
I have to, I mean, like,
keep going. Seriously, keep going. I was told recently, I've said this before, but on the podcast, but I was told recently, like the day that you the day that you quit is the day that you were the closest that you ever were from where you ever wanted to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Keeps you going.
Because I'm sure. Well, I guess I don't know how you feel, but like for me personally, there have been so many times where I'm just like, man, should I really give this up? Because it is so fucking hard sometimes, Not that I'm going to, but man, trying to be an artist for real, comes with a lot of sacrifice in life.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah. Just balance, really, too, with your time and how to make money.
What is your what are some of your next moves in terms of like if you could look like 6 months, a year, 2-3 years out, do you think you'll stay in Milwaukee?
Yeah. I definitely want to move away from Milwaukee eventually in my 20s. I'm 24 now, so I think when I'm like 26, 27, I definitely want to branch out. Maybe what that looks like is going on tour steadily would be really sweet. Having the whole, I don't know, because right now, so we got the full band. Right now, I'm really looking at doing more weekender runs because we all work throughout the week, and it's just tough with getting off like PTO for a whole week to do like a big tour kind of thing, and to make it worth it to go to cities that people have never heard us before. It's really tough to like plan that and make sure that there's going to be people there. So now we were just in St. Paul last weekend. It's nice to like book these weekend things where we can promote. Like we'll be in St. Paul this weekend and just text everyone I know in Minnesota, like, hey, if you're around, come out. And there was a good amount of homies that came out for us, and then also a bunch of people who came to see the other bands. So I think like in this next like 6 months, it's hitting these cities Midwest on like a weekend run, and then just kind of
establishing like a base of people that know you and like you.
Yeah, and really trying to culminate like a following on social media, trying to gain like TikTok. If you're on TikTok, like they say, like it's just, you gotta be on TikTok.
I know.
As an artist, you gotta be. It's nice. I like TikTok. I don't allow myself to go on the home feed or the scroll feed. Yeah. I'll watch the first video that pops up, but then I
sucks because like you need these tools, but you don't even want to get sucked down into that like black hole of like just like, I don't know. I don't want to judge
doing some silly stuff.
I mean, just like all of a sudden you like spent the last 5 hours. You know, I know people that like scroll for 5 hours or whatever, and it's like, man, don't want that in my life, but I do want to use this thing to like, I should be using TikTok, but it's hard enough to even like post stuff on the one. I mostly use Instagram.
Yeah.
But you know, it's
I'll
hard.
tell you, it's nice because if you post a video, it'll shoot it out to so many different people everywhere that you probably wouldn't reach in that Instagram algorithm.
Yeah, I know.
So it's nice that way. And I've been trying to do the YouTube shorts as well. Really trying to build my YouTube that way. But man, yeah, TikTok is really nice for like just blasting it out to like eyes that haven't seen you before, you know. I feel like if you posted some videos of you playing your original music too, like that will make, because you want to make a video that people will watch. If it takes like 3 seconds for someone to decide if they want to keep watching or scroll to the next thing. So I feel like with the kind of performance you have, like you're like, whoa, like what is this?
Yeah, I mean,
is this distracting, by the way?
No.
Okay.
And but I actually, I mean, like I've been using the Instagram Reels and stuff like that. Figured out kind of a little format for posting my animations, and some of them have gotten, you know, pretty good, you know, like 25,000 views in an afternoon, which is crazy because it's like I've been trying to get people to watch Trustworthy for the last 2 years, and it's got like, you know, 20,000 views, and then you'll post a 5-second video and it'll get more than that in an afternoon. It's just like, man, I do like, it's nice to reach people, but it's also, you want to be able to make content that you're really proud of that says something, and sometimes you need more than 5 seconds to say something, you
Exactly.
know? And it's a little bit like, I don't exactly love the sort of like content ecosystem that I find myself in, but it is the reality of the situation.
Yep.
And so you got to figure out a way to use these tools.
Yep. And I've been trying to figure out like doing more, I mean, like the podcast, and then that's a long form thing I can put on YouTube if people want to watch the long form thing, but then splitting up little clips from that to post as content has been really nice. And then I recently just did a song breakdown of the song Milwaukee, and I want to do more, like maybe one a month, where I just sit down and basically talk to the camera like we are now, and talking to a microphone so it's good quality, and just explaining like each lyric and just kind of breaking down the song. And then what I did was I posted the long form thing on YouTube, but then like the clips, like each like lyric, split those up and then post in a really consumable thing as posts on TikTok or YouTube. So like, and maybe, I mean, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on that one, but I want to keep getting into a good rhythm. Yeah. And yeah, just maybe if someone sees the clip, they'll go to the long form thing and watch that too. So
I should honestly this was a good performance. This was at what are they named? Honey Creek. You know Honey Creek? Yeah. And then my very good friend Cece shot this. She's dating Dylan.
Yes,
from Honey Creek.
Cece Stadler.
Yeah, she's really cool.
Yes,
she's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, shout out Cece.
But she shot this, and it looks really nice. And this was a great performance. I wonder if was it really as simple as me just like taking a 25-minute performance and cutting it into less than 10-second clips.
You know, it is tough to like figure out what clips will like get people's attention, and then also I've been really trying to figure out how to get clips like in the format of the of the platform. So like TikTok, I'll take the podcast clips and I'll put one clip of me here, and then the other clip of you above, and clip it like above. So like it's just two.
It's formatted so they can see both sides, because now instead of you know, the horizontal, instead of landscape, we've got portrait mode.
Yeah, you know? And I have posted like the horizontal. You can do that on TikTok, but it's not. I don't think it gets the right engagement.
No, definitely not.
You know. So it's a game, but you know, you just got to figure out what works for you and in a way that you like doing it, because so many artists I feel can get trapped in doing some silly things that don't really resonate with them. And I think that's a dark hole to go down.
Yeah.
You know,
you have to make a compromise with like the reality of the situation and the thing that you actually believe or whatever. I mean, that goes beyond art, but,
right.
But, that's how I feel a lot of the time.
World's a changing.
I know.
It's either you change with the world or the world's going to change without you. So, yeah, if you took this and like figured out how to
I've been doing a lot. I got this really nice actually I'll show it to you afterwards, but I have this it's just a phone clip holder. But it happens to be the right dimensions where I can clip it to the end of my guitar and face it towards me as I'm playing. And then it just like formats me. So it catches the entire neck of the guitar and me in the frame in portrait mode. So I can just like sit down and play like that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'll show it to you right after
this.
If
you had like a whole TikTok page of just that, of you playing, that you could have a lot of luck with that.
And there's another thing where like, not only that, because like, the phone recording quality, because I like I said, I live in this hostel and I cannot record there, period. There's just not going to be a way for me to do it. But obviously recording quality makes a big difference even for those little clips and stuff. So I have this this software. It's like Adobe Premiere Rush. It's like a video editor for iOS or for like for mobile. And I figured out a way that I can sort of honestly, like the quietness or loudness of the recording makes a big difference. Like if you post something and it looks nice or whatever, but people would have to like turn the volume up in order to hear it clearly. That's something that they're too annoyed to do. They'll just scroll on to the next video. But I have figured out a way to sort of like amplify it or like compress it in a way that like sounds better.
Sure.
So I have started posting those, and I think like the more, especially another thing is that the more of the same sort of format that you're posting, the better the algorithm understands the content that you're putting out there and who is actually going to pay attention to it. Like the type of person that they want to route that clip to.
Right.
And so I just have to keep on posting more and more.
Yeah. It's tricky. It's tricky.
I also made I started making on here on Flip a Clip. This is the software that I used to animate on iPad, but I started making like a little animated figure of myself playing guitar because I thought, if you just saw this guy like on a loop playing around and then you heard my song over the top of it, that kind of works for that format,
Yeah.
I've seen other people posting just like they just got this little frog character that hangs out a tiny little crude drawing in the middle of the screen, but it's cute. And it's got 450 likes or 450,000 likes rather.
Oh, fuck.
Sorry, yeah. Where it's just like, man, if you figure out the right way to present something for this format, which is like 5-second clips in portrait mode, then all of a sudden you can become bigger than, I mean, just like you've seen these accounts like Instagram or TikTok accounts where they have, 450,000 followers, and you're like, that's.
I think you got an advantage too with your animation too,
right? Exactly.
If you did like a TikTok with your animation too, like man, that with your music, that could be a whole thing.
God, it is. Yeah, I know.
And it would take less time too, because you're making like 15-second.
What I really need to do is like make the content on my phone or on my iPad, and then just simultaneously post it both to TikTok and to Instagram, because like I don't want to spend my days on social media.
Yeah.
And thinking about this all the time. So it's hard enough to even like make the time for one when it's like, I like posting stories because I think it's fun and I can be funny and on the fly. But if you're trying to make stuff that's like going to go out to potentially the whole world, you have to sort of like sit and consider it a little bit more. And I find it like awfully draining to spend too much time fiddling with some social media thing. I'm sure you understand.
Oh yeah. My big ones are right now are just Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just those 3. I really try to just post. If I post on Instagram, put it on TikTok, put it on YouTube, and just keep it going.
You're nice because you got the skateboarding thing, everyone loves a skater. Yeah.
I honestly haven't been doing it as much as it gets so hard when it's winter to skate, but yeah, sure. I love skating. Yeah, I should do more edits of like my music to the skating, and
then get imported into like your iPad, and then flip a clip, and then you could just do the rotoscoping thing where you outline yourself for every frame, and then it's like an animation.
Dude, you're making me want to get an iPad now. Not so much for animation. I don't know if I'd get into that quite yet, but
I've been doing. I'm not like a stand for Apple or anything, but I have been using this for everything since I've been out in Seattle, because I just don't have a computer out there. Yeah. I used to have I still have a really nice desktop that I like built, but
it's got to be nice for like even video editing. I do all my video editing on my phone, so like the Milwaukee song breakdown, I spent like probably 10 hours just on my fucking phone, just like editing meticulously, and just
probably better. And plus I got this case that also has a detachable keyboard and stuff, and just being able to like use that, and it's basically honestly like a laptop but a little bit more portable, and it's got the nice touchscreen, and so I do lately. The animations that I've been working and illustrations that I've been working on have all been on the iPad.
Yep, and then it's nice too because you just have the Instagram app then on there, and you can just post it right on there,
right? And Patreon.
Oh wow. Because the desktop is a little bit more tricky when you like try to post stuff
on Instagram. Like Instagram is designed for mobile.
Yeah,
I don't know that much about TikTok on like desktop.
They did just release one recently, maybe in the last year or 2, but yeah, I feel like it's tricky. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. But yeah, the iPad would be nice because it's just a big phone.
I know, yeah.
And I like editing on my phone. It's just like my eye is just. After I was just like, oh my god.
If you're doing a lot of editing, I mean, like, might as well. Why don't you do it on the Mac?
Just because for podcasts specifically, I just have all the footage on my phone.
Oh yeah, you're taking the footage, right? Yeah,
it takes so long to upload. Yeah. So if I like literally had an iPad and just filmed the podcast on there and just edit it up,
or nice. I mean, there's also the AirDrop thing where you can just drop stuff from one to the other.
Right.
Right. It sucks. I honestly, I mean, like when I have like a desktop, I do PC because I like being able to like go in and manipulate the setup and everything. But in terms of like my mobile stuff, I've been using Apple for so long that I like all my projects are like through these, and I don't really want to.
I'm in the Apple cult.
I know,
yeah. Which they have good products. I enjoy Apple stuff. I mean, I could do the AirDrop stuff to my phone to here as well, but it still takes a while, and it's just so much storage.
Not a bad idea. I mean, like this, not a bad idea.
Yeah, we'll get there. And what you said before too, I like, or did you say this? But just like figuring it out as we go, kind of thing. It'll always get better.
Yeah, bit by bit.
Yeah.
And then eventually we'll be rich and famous.
We'll be having this podcast again in like 5 years in the studio.
Be like, remember when we were poor?
When we were working jobs. Yeah.
And that's we'll miss dream, it. And we'll miss it. And we'll be like, my life sucks now.
Yeah. I thought in like the next like year, like this time next year, perhaps maybe dialing back to go part-time at my job, but I mean,
that's a huge accomplishment. Like when I got the Patreon page to a certain level, am I going to be poor? Yes. But do I get an extra 2 days a week to work on this thing that I care about?
Yeah.
As opposed to, punching into something that I could not care less about.
Yeah, I got us out of the Patreon. And you said it too. Like, and I talked with someone, I think my buddy Dwayne, about this. Like, people just want to support rather than getting that content. It's like if I maybe like my grandma or my parents, if they know that this money is going towards this project, and maybe this person doesn't even like watch all the content I post.
That's definitely how it's going to be.
They just know that they're supporting that in a way. Yeah, that's super
definitely.
cool.
I actually have a lot of people that are like, they don't even necessarily, they're like, they know I do the Patreon thing and they don't want to make an account because they just don't want another account.
Right. Yeah.
Of another app and another thing. And so instead they'll just Venmo me and be like, this is for Patreon.
Right.
And they'll Venmo me like whatever amount,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you probably have enough people just in your close friends and family where that, I mean, they probably would.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm certain that you have enough people that if you just said like, look, the content that I'm going to provide you that's extra through this, like, this subscription or whatever is what it is. I mean, like, I do put exclusive stuff on the Patreon feed all the time. But really, and when people look at my Patreon page, it says it outright. It's just like, no matter what, there's like a $1 tier, a $5 tier, 10, 15, 30. You're going to get the same stuff no matter what you subscribe to. And It's really just about like, what do you want? Do you want like, how much are you comfortable? Do you want to support me? And if you do, like, what can you afford and what makes you feel good?
Right.
And that's how Have
you ever thought about increasing it from like 30 to like limitless?
I have a $50 and $100 tier, but in the tier descriptions, I kind of make fun of them. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you subscribing to me for $100? Nobody's on it, but maybe someday, who knows? Maybe a rich benefactor.
Right.
A sugar mama.
Yeah. Just giving you your monthly allowance.
Subscribe to my Patreon.
For real. And it is interesting too, because I do have a Patreon account. It was on my Linktree. Didn't have any tiers set up. And looking on the Linktree analytics, 111 people clicked it.
Damn. Dude, you would probably kill it. I mean, you're like, the number of people who know about you just through social media is like 4 times as much as me. I am certain that if you started one and you just like did it, I mean, take a look at mine and steal any of the ideas that you can, because like, even if it was just like a couple people in your family that were like, $20 a month.
Totally.
That's fine. I want to support you.
And I do these weekly vlogs on YouTube, and I'm thinking like moving that over to the Patreon maybe, but in my head, I've thought of like over time, like when I do start a Patreon, to be like really transparent of what I'm doing with the money too, because like I want to put it into like online marketing and like playlisting and like just putting it back into the project. I don't want to, because I can afford when I'm working full time for my rent and for my food myself, and I don't want anyone to think I'm like slacking off and just living off of this for like, I'm putting it back in and shooting it as far as I can go. So yeah,
you should do it.
Yeah, that's inspiring. Thank you.
Yeah, you'd kill it for sure. Yeah. I'm certain of it. Yeah. Because I mean, I know myself well enough to know that I'm not doing anything particularly special, but I just set it up a long time ago, and over time, incrementally, just made it more. Just like, I mean, it took me a while to discover like people aren't subscribing to other tiers because they want the extra perk or whatever. That's not what they're doing.
That's like what you do.
Yeah, they're just like a person with enough money and they like me enough where it's like $30 a month. Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
Now, do you have merch other than stickers?
Yeah, I have like a Shopify print on demand sort of like t-shirt.
Okay.
I have some pins.
One thing I wanted to talk to you about is like with the Patreon and everything. Do you have to file taxes for that?
Yes. I think so. Okay. I can't remember. I don't remember specifically doing anything. It wasn't hard.
Okay.
Whatever it was, I must have done it. It was like a year ago now.
Yeah.
But
do you have an LLC or anything like that way?
No.
Okay.
Okay. I'm bad about taxes. I actually just got my tax return from last year, like this week. because it was some fucking thing from TurboTax just fucking with me. Yeah. And it was like a substantial return that I'd been waiting for like a year, and I was like, finally.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah. Yes.
Happy holidays.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's been good.
I've been trying to. I just set up the LLC. It was actually not as hard as I thought, and more so for like when we do shows and we gotta fill out like a W-9. It's always been in my name. So if we're getting like a big check for all these bands, it's under my name. So if I get audited or
right,
I gotta fucking
right. Fortunately or unfortunately for me, like most of the venues I play, have I signed a contract with almost like. Yeah, one or two, but it makes it easier because it's just me by myself.
Yeah,
like I don't have to worry about a band, you know.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're getting the big check to split to the other bands too, it just gets like shit. It's on me. So, but if it's under the LLC, it's like not getting taxed on my personal stuff. So keeping it separate that way. So yeah, working on that. Trying to do it right, I guess. So I don't want to get sued in the long run.
Yeah, I remember when I signed the contract for like Adult Swim, I was like, fortunately I have a friend who's a lawyer, and he was like, you have to promise me that you'll never sign anything without letting me look over it first. Because he's seen so many people get fucked on contracts that they didn't understand. Yeah. It is scary.
Yep. And that's going back to like the whole label thing with like.
Have you thought? I mean, are you on a label?
No, completely independent. I don't want to sign to one until the right.
Have you heard from labels? You must have heard from labels.
Never. No, never, not once. It's just interesting. Like it seems like
there might not be so many in Milwaukee. I guess I don't really know. I mean, like I know they have them in Chicago. I know they have them in Seattle, and I feel like if I plugged away long enough, like eventually somebody will be like, this guy, we want him in under the umbrella or whatever.
Yeah. And it's changed so much. I've listened to this Burstimo, which is a really good music marketing agency, and they're all for like the independent artist. I've listened to their podcast on Spotify. Shout out them. But Burstimo. They're out of London. They're really.
I'll have to check it out because I'm interested in trying to figure out what am I supposed to be doing.
I know, right? Yeah, they have a really good insight because there's two people. They both worked in the music industry, and they both thought it was really slimy, so they started their own thing, and they're really popping right now. And they started a podcast, and they have a lot of helpful tips for independent artists. But the label nowadays doesn't work for the artist. The artist basically works for the label. Well, I don't know, maybe it was always like that, but they're only going to approach artists who are basically have the platforms and the infrastructure already in place. Like they're not going to do that for you or provide that for you these days. You got to have the million TikTok people. You got to have all these followers and the streams by yourself. And then they're going to be like, oh, we're going to take you to the next level kind of thing. But I don't know what that looks like.
You have to build their brand. They are not building yours.
Yeah. And they just want to come in and take your money.
So yeah. I mean, I have seen plenty. I mean, I guess I've probably heard more from like comedians. Like I listen to like comedy podcasts sometimes, and like, you know, you'll hear somebody who made it or whatever, and they're like, fuck these people that are trying to like manage you or whatever. Go independent and keep your money. And like, I don't know enough to know whether or not that's true for music. I just don't know. I mean, like sometimes I think like, man, it would be the thing I really wish I had was like a touring manager, somebody to just book shows for me and handle promotion. That would be really cool. But
there's people out there that would.
I know. Maybe not for me quite yet, but I mean, I think like I'm on the brink of getting to a point where it's like, I can sort of like attract that kind of like investment. Hopefully.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be the right person where like you feel comfortable because I don't know how these deals work, but it might be like I'll take like 30% of all the sales for a show I book you kind of thing. But it is solo,
for me personally, that would be amazing because like, I mean, like if I had to give up like, 15 to 30% of like the door And then I kept the merch sales or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, like, and not to mention, like, a lot of times I'll play a show, and what I've been doing for on the merch table is I'll put out all my merch and just be like, you know, this is my Venmo. Take what you want and pay what you think is fair. And then sometimes people they'll just see that and they'll take a CD, but they'll give me $50. You know, I mean, like that kind of stuff is nice.
Balance out a little.
Yeah,
bit.
and then if somebody like can't afford it or whatever, I mean, maybe they can, but they just don't feel like it. But they're interested in the music, you know. Sometimes it's just like, yeah, I'll give away a free CD if somebody's going to listen to it for sure. You know?
Right, and at the end of the day, that's a fan that's gonna be talking about it to all their friends, showing it to all their friends. It's like marketing. Yeah, man, it's a business. And I really do think that now with the internet and everything, it is so possible to be independent as long as possible, especially with the Patreon. And
I'll feel like, I mean, this is a kind of a big part of why I decided, like, I've been doing animations for my own videos for the last couple of years. And, this is why I was like thinking maybe I should just like do some fan animations for some bands that are already established that I like a lot, that I think their audience would like me a lot. Because like, if I just got enough, you know, I feel like you're constantly depositing all of the work that you put into your entire like artistic like edifice, like the whole thing. Like I have these albums now and these animations, and every project that I add to that, whenever somebody finds one of them, then they'll find like 10 other things that they might like too. And I think eventually, I mean, I think for a lot of artists, how it goes is they work hard for a long time, and then they have one project that gets them enough attention, or all of a sudden it opens a huge audience to all of the rest of their content. Some of my favorite bands are bands that I found out about them on their like 5th album.
Sure.
And then I'm like, oh, but the last 4 were amazing too, and now I have all of those albums.
That's what it's like. TikTok, go viral once on TikTok, and you'll get at least 100 new people that are listening to your stuff, checking out your stuff. So you get TikTok, I'll get Patreon.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
We'll
for sure.
reconvene.
Yeah, for sure. What time is it? Oh, it's 10 o'clock right now.
Right on the dot. You want to wrap this up?
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's go to Bremen.
Yeah.
Bremen.
Let's do it.
Open mic.
Yeah. All right. I'm down.
Yeah.
Kyle, this was awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
dude,
this is fun.
So inspiring to hear what you're doing, seriously, out in Seattle. And I'm excited to hear where you're at next. And that's cool too, to like, if you can figure out how to like, I mean, just the pitch of like, I'm living in a hostel right now with 7 other people in a small room. Like,
it's a story.
Yeah, it's a story. And that's literally the story of the brand and your music and your animation, and just like keep working at it, man. I'm excited to see what's to come. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm bad at wrapping these up. Thanks y'all for watching.
Fuck you guys. Thank you for watching.
Check out Kyle John Kenowski on all streaming stuff and animation on YouTube. And we'll see you soon, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll reconvene.